Now, this is Greg Sheridan writing from afar. He called the actions against Trump and Boris Johnson, I might add, quote, assaults on democracy in two of the world's greatest democracies. Now, Trump's a mile ahead in the polls. Everyone will be polling madly now. Are there any polls that we don't know of here, Peggy?
I think the more they try to get rid of him, the higher he goes in the polling. And in a really interesting move today, one of the other presidential candidates, Vivek Ramaswamy, went down to Miami and stood on the steps of the courthouse and made a statement calling out exactly what they were doing. He also filed what's called a FOIA request, a Freedom of Information Act request, requesting for any correspondence between President Biden, Attorney General Garland, and Special Counsel Jack Smith. The American people have a right to know whether this was a coordinated attempt coming from President Biden, who is President Trump's political opponent. And so Vivek said he would, from the Oval Office, pardon Donald Trump on day one if he's elected president, and he's challenging the other presidential candidates to do the same. But this is not up to Donald Trump alone to defend himself. It's up to all of us to defend the rule of law and the equal application of the law and keep the government agencies accountable to the American people, which is where that accountability belongs.
Peggy, it's interesting you said. I was interested to note the responses. I was reading some online by people who are at the court this morning. Now, one bloke called Kevin said he wasn't a Trump follower, but he said, I'm not happy with the way things are going. Quote, I haven't voted for him, but clearly this is a law that's being selectively applied to people on one side of the political spectrum. He says, my guess is he's guilty of the crimes they say he is, but those crimes are being investigated and prosecuted only for some people. He's now heading to his golf club. Have you got any idea what he's going to say at New Jersey?
Well, I'm sure that he is going to once again say that he is not guilty. He sent out a Truth Social message right on his way to the court that said this was a political witch hunt. And so the more we see, though, the more we're believing him that truly it is. And this is a sad day for America. I mean, this really is the death of democracy if we have government weaponized against
terrible thing for democracy. Terrible thing. Just before you go, I should ask you, what do we know about this special counsel, Jack Smith, who will prosecute the case if it goes to trial? What do we know about him?
Yeah, it depends on who you ask. Of course, the Democrats love the fact that he's gone after Trump. The Republicans will say that he's not fair and he's politically biased. I will tell you the difference for this case is going to be that it's going to be held in a court in Florida, which we know is politically much more favorable to Donald Trump than New York. And so I expect that there will be a different tone coming out of the court in Florida than we will see in New York or potentially even in Georgia.
Yes, I mean, we've just got to remember, a president can declassify documents. We don't quite know which of these Donald Trump may have declassified. A vice president can't. And as Peggy alluded earlier, even when Biden was a senator, he was in possession of classified documents. A secretary of state like Hillary Clinton certainly can't. And she was in possession of classified documents, and she scrubbed 30,000 entrants from her email. Now, we don't at this stage know how many of
these had already been subpoenaed.
Yes.
They had been subpoenaed. She erased her computer memory. She destroyed technology with hammers. I mean, it's crazy what she did. So they've put Donald Trump under the microscope and they're splitting hairs in the legal system of him. And then there's a mountain of evidence against all these other people that they're just turning a blind eye to and refusing to look into. Hunter Biden, for instance, we know that there's fingerprints that lead all the way up to Joe Biden. It's been 5 years in court and it's going to drag on as long as possible. But they are in a hurry to get Donald Trump indicted and moving forward with this case.
Do we know the date for the next hearing of this Florida matter?
We don't yet. Typically, Florida can move things pretty quickly. They have something called a rocket docket, which certain cases can go pretty quickly. But I think that because of the nature of this, the level of the person, obviously, who's been indicted, the historical nature of these charges, I think that especially Trump's team will want to take this as slow as possible. But then again, to your earlier point, puts us right in the middle of political season.